figured out the loud noise. Come look.
Mom, I'm so sorry.
You know, one thing I don't understand is that why can't Americans live without China? Why do we have to buy cheap goods? This is a thing where I honestly believe people want America to be weak, to be dependent. You hear China, like Chinese government saying, we don't need America. Okay, cool. Why do we need China? To buy cheap goods? Why? Why do we want to contribute to high level of consumerism? And I'm surprised that there's so many people, Americans, supporting China. It's like, oh, we hate America. When you're living in America and say, we support China. And that is why, one of the things why I want us to, I'm fine with us trying to, I mean, if it happens, if this is a permanent thing, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with us trying to get out of the Chinese foothold, the Chinese dependency on cheap goods. I'm tired of it. I mean, like, I said this in other videos, we have a shopping problem. I think one of the biggest things contributing to people living paycheck to paycheck, which I think a lot of people are not seeing or agreeing with, is that we overspend. We live beyond our means. We don't know how to save, we don't know how to budget, we just know how to spend. We only know how to spend money, that's it. We don't know how to save, we don't know how to budget, don't know how to invest, we only know how to spend. I do not agree with us caring so much about China manufacturing cheap goods for us. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna cry that, you know, Apples can't buy cheap components in China to sell us a exact same phone every year. Overpriced exact same phone every year. Maybe, how about, you know what, buy more costly parts, but you know, our iPhones are not like going shit every 1-2 years. So iPhone has to innovate every 5-10 years. We buy one phone every 5 and 10 years. I'm not gonna cry that, I'm sorry, small businesses can't sell us cheap made, overpriced, I don't know, craft products, home goods. We don't need to over decorate our house. We don't need to over decorate our house. I don't know. No one has made a good enough reason why they hate the whole tariff thing. Oh, we can't buy cheap products from China. I'm not crying about that. Oh my God, we are, I don't know, hurting our allies. You know, our allies are employing slave labor. They're not. It's like, you wonder why the U.S. have a bare minimum, a minimum wage and all this stuff, because we know as humans we don't want to work for peanuts. But it's fine for third world countries. They can work for $2 an hour. $2 an hour. It's like, oh, we're in small business. I'm sorry. Small businesses that sells us cheaply made goods at overpriced shit to make these small businesses rich and to, you know, influx our economy with cheaply made goods. We have clothes that people have not even worn in their closets. We have house. It's like, why is it only the West have a hoarding problem? Why is it, I've yet to see any other country to say that any people, even substantial people, to have a hoarding problem. We have shows in the West showing people are hoarders, overbuying. What other country does that? What other country could do that? I think it's ridiculous. I have a few videos on this, okay? So I'm not gonna cry that Americans cannot buy cheap goods made by cheap labor. I'm not gonna cry that we are trying to disassociate us or untangle us from China because we want their cheaply made goods. They're to take advantage of their cheap labor. I'm not. So we can buy a whole lot of cheap products and ruin our earth, ruin our world. I ain't gonna cry. I'm not. I don't care. I'm not gonna cry that we can't get the same exact iPhone thanks to China's rare earth materials, exact same iPhone, exact same overly priced iPhone every year. I'm not. The same iPhone that's overly priced, that's made with China's cheap materials, China's cheap labor, China's, you know, all their shit every year. I'm not. So for me is that, again, I've said this with other videos, please check them out. I honestly want to, I'm not saying destroy it or make it disappear, but I want to truly cut down on our overconsumption. Here's the thing, where I'm just as big of a consumer as everyone else. I invest in the stock market. I have Apple stock. So really, this would hurt Apple. I have Nike stock. This would hurt Nike. But at the end of the day, if I cared about myself, if I only cared about myself, not, my fellow Americans, not the rest of the world, yeah, go for it. Let Nike make their cheap shit, and let Apple use cheap labor. Let them, because you know what? Let them make millions, billions. Let them flood Western society with a whole bunch of products that we don't really need. Let a whole bunch of Americans buy a whole bunch of iPhones every year. And guess what? The old iPhones, let them throw it away in our landfills. Yeah, but this is the thing. I do care. Shop. We have hoarders. There's a Netflix documentary talking about overconsumption. Please check it out. We have heavy landfills. There is a floating landfill off the coast of California that we can't even get rid of. So I'm not gonna cry because we can't overconsume. No.
Y'all, wifey's saying that I got a problem, y'all. This is all my clothes.
From the closet.
From the closet only. Time to get rid of some clothes, right, babe? So I can buy some more.
Trump declares war on China. Well, sort of. His administration will say no, but their actions kind of say otherwise, at least from an economic standpoint. While social media pundits will parrot the same message that the mainstream media has stated, that Trump caved on his tariff war on the world, because that's a great sign of critical thinking, they fail to see his strategic goal, which is the same goal he had in his first administration and is also aligned with a long-held U.S. strategy all the way back to the Obama administration, which is to contain China. And this is why the tariff is now at 145% against China, and the rest of the world is at 10% for now, for the next 90 days anyways. Now, previous administrations have tried to contain China through international law, through the World Trade Organization, and through the International Law of the Sea. And in each instance, China rebukes the ruling from The Hague by continuing to take over the South China Sea and assert dominance on their neighbors, by not truly opening up their markets to foreign goods, stealing United States IP, which nets them approximately $600 billion in profits every year, using subsidies and industry policies to keep the value of their currency extremely low, and exploiting their status in the World Trade Organization as a developing country. Yes, they are considered a developing country, even though U.S. capitalism has elevated 800 million Chinese out of poverty, all the while creating a trade imbalance that has led to the loss of millions of American jobs. And to add insult to injury, their fentanyl shipments have led to the deaths of over 500,000 Americans. And let's not forget the national security nightmare that was unveiled during the pandemic when we discovered that the majority of our medications and PPE were made in China. Worse yet, they wouldn't actually even ship us what we needed during this crisis. A global crisis that the intel community has all but confirmed did not start at a market. And I almost forgot to mention the rare earth minerals that China's been gobbling up since before 2012, and all the coal-fired and nuclear power plants they are bringing online, and their funding and support of the Russia war in Ukraine. And let's not forget the unsustainable debt and deficit trajectory that we were on, or still on, actually, and the only way to possibly sustain it is to flood the U.S. with immigrants so that future generations can fulfill the jobs that will then be taxed, because that's the only way to continue the system going on, because we don't have enough kids. It's called demographics, and you should look into it. Basically, we don't have enough kids of our own to replace the future labor force from which we tax, which is where the dollar draws its value from. Of course, we could fix that with some real reform on Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security and reducing our spending, but unfortunately, Trump derangement syndrome. So all this is why Trump is attempting to reorganize the global economy. My question to all of you is, do you think he'll be successful, and do you agree with what he's doing? Why or why not? Let me know in the comments.
But the sentiment, I have a genuine question for the internet about the tariffs. Why is it that it's okay that other countries tariff us, but it's not okay when we implement tariffs against them? I'm not trying to sound sarcastic. I'm not trying to stay on a side. I'm genuinely asking. Because if somebody was charging me $5 to walk into their house every time, but every time they walked into my house, it was free, over time I would start to think, hey, this just isn't necessarily fair. But the sentiment on the internet is that what the US is doing with the tariffs is such a bad thing, but again, everybody else does it to us.
Tariffs are now at 125%. I spoke with our customs agent and he confirmed we will have to pay $80,000 next week when our goods arrive at the border. Before anyone tells me to make my products in the US, it is not possible. Our viral and patented keepsake cases, which are our most popular products, these would be a minimum of $250 per unit to produce in the US with lesser quality wood and without the scallops. And I would have to sell these for a minimum of $400 each. I created the Time Capsule Journal specifically for Mother's Day back in 2023, and the minimum cost to make this journal in the US would be $90 per unit because of the quality binding, pages, and the pocket for mementos and photos. I designed this to give to your loved ones so they can record their entire life story and family history. For those who don't know, I gained a following returning lost heirlooms to family. I would find family heirlooms like letters from the Holocaust or war diaries at flea markets and do the research and return those items to living descendants. The stories I've uncovered have been so magical, and this is what inspired me to create a home goods and meaningful keepsake line. We have a ship of Mother's Day inventory headed to the US now, and we can't raise our prices by 125%. So I'm not sure what we're going to do except spread awareness. And if I do have to shut my business down, I feel so honored that aside from home decor enthusiasts or just sentimental people, that I was able to build a community of customers navigating grief, loss, or illness. Your stories and messages have truly shaped the heart of this brand. And I hope 100 years from now, when someone finds a Curio Boulevard keepsake case or Time Capsule Journal at the flea market, it eventually makes its way home to its rightful family.
I'm going to be controversial. Here's the thing. I'm not going to cry that small businesses, which for her, I don't know if I would call her necessarily small business, having all these exposure and whatever, but here's fine. Small businesses. I'm not going to cry that small businesses, these women who are, I believe, doing well themselves anyway, can't take advantage of slave labor. Can't take advantage of slave labor. If this is a thing where if you can't, and you call like the quality of wood is going to won't be high, it's because you are going to you're going to cheap out. This is a thing where I've said this in other videos. We have a shopping problem. We have a shopping problem. If you are crying because you can't buy if you are crying that you can't buy a storage box made out of wood, then you have problems. You have problems. Seriously. If people wanted to keepsake, they can buy a regular photo album and just put photo. It's like, you have to pay $90 for one of her books so you can keep photos and shit. Like, it's like, why aren't people crafty anymore? Why aren't individual Americans crafty? Here's the actual fact. The American class is shrinking. It is eroding. It is disappearing. The only thing I've heard from people is that, oh my God, my production can't be based on slave labor anymore. Americans are going to suffer because they can't buy cheap products. What? I'm sorry. I'm not going to cry that Apple can't sell me an iPhone every year. That's pretty much the same. I'm not going to cry that, I'm sorry, small businesses can't sell me their cheap products that they made cheaply, so for overpriced, amounts. I'm sorry. I mean, how about you just get a job? How about you get a job? I get it. We have been trying to push the entrepreneurism, but here's the thing with entrepreneurism. It's just selling you crap made from China. That is our entrepreneurism right now. We are buying cheap products from China to bring into the US to sell to other Americans overpriced. I'm not going to cry about that. I've yet to see any argument to actually say that, oh, buying from China is a benefit. Really? It seems like we're just fueling the consumerism, the poisonous consumerism that we are experiencing. I am surprised because here's the thing, it only helps the rich. It helps the rich be richer, and it destroys the poor to be poorer because you're spending money you don't have. You wonder why people are living paycheck to paycheck. I don't believe most people who are living paycheck to paycheck, they're living paycheck to paycheck because they spend all their money on groceries. I don't think so. Or they only spend their money on groceries and let's say rent and bills. I don't think so. Personal opinion, people who are living paycheck to paycheck, they're buying needless shit. More clothes than they ever need, baby products that they honestly use once in a blue moon. Just a lot of consumerism. Just buy a lot of shit. None of these people learn how to invest, learn how to save, learn how to budget. No. They all only know how to consume and then travel to other places in the world where, really, you want to save money? How about travel within the country? It's like, honestly, I just don't see any good arguments. Oh, why, all this terror stuff is bad for the US. I don't know. I'm not saying that I know it's good. I'm not saying I predict the future, but here's the thing where I'm surprised. We have been complaining about our country for a long ass time. Middle class is dying, things are overpriced, and so on and so on. We've had years of doing things that are not changing. So I don't necessarily 100% agree with Trump, but he is trying to shake things up. Hopefully it works. If it doesn't, it is what it is. It is what it is. Yes, we will have pain, but I don't know. I just don't see that what we've been doing for the last couple of decades, whatever, has been helping the American public. Like I said, the middle class is dying. It's shrinking. While rich are getting richer, poor are getting poorer. For me to want to support a small business that can buy cheap products in China to sell overpriced in the US for a box, for a scrapbook, I'm sorry. I'm not here to support poor Americans spending money needlessly, supporting the unhealthy consumerism that we have.
Joking around about having a shopping addiction isn't normal. Having multiple online orders on their way to you at all times isn't normal. Hiding or lying about your purchases to your partner isn't normal. A recycling bin always full of deconstructed boxes and packaging and shopping bags isn't normal. Never repeating the same outfit isn't normal. None of these things are normal, but you are not alone. I'm Hannah. I'm a former broke shopaholic who dealt with all of these things, and I'm here to help you balance healthy spending habits with your love of getting dressed. If you want more tips to quit compulsive shopping, save this video to keep underconsumption content in your algorithm.
Do you know how much a Chinese factory make for a pair of Nike shoes? $10, which sells 150 on the shelf. A Stanley Cup, $50. The factory gets $1. $1. But when they sell millions of them, that's millions of dollars. And all surplus. That's where the surplus comes from. But for every $1 the factory made, somebody in America is making $49. Who is benefit from the globalization? And think about the pollution the factory has to cause in the local area. Who is benefit from the globalization? I don't know.
I'm gonna be on this for, I don't know, forever, or until the whole tariff stuff talk is done. I will not cry if Americans cannot buy cheap products created with cheap labor. If a product that is made in the U.S., let's say, I saw this woman, or my last video, she sells these, I guess, these wooden storage boxes. She called time capsules for people to put their scrap, I don't know, keepsake pictures and stuff in. She said if she made it in the U.S., it would cost $400. Here's the thing. If it's going to cost $400, let's just keep it for the rich. Keep it for the high middle class. Because here's the thing. Why do ordinary people, regular people, middle class to maybe lower class people, need to buy a wooden storage unit to keep photos, to keep scrap paper in, to keep letters in? Why do you need that? It is essentially frivolous spending, needless spending. I'm not going to cry that your business disappears because you can't sell Americans $90 scrapbooks. I'm not going to cry because you can't sell Americans $400 wooden, storage boxes. I'm not going to cry because you can't sell. There was another one who he said he's going to have problems because he can't sell his custom rims. I'm not going to cry. You can't sell Americans custom rims. I'm not going to cry because you can't sell them rims to the rims on your car are perfectly fine. They're perfectly fine. I'm not going to cry because Apple can't sell us the same goddamn phone every year. Literally, the same overpriced goddamn phone every year. Why can't they sell us a quality phone every 5 years? A phone where, how about it innovates? It's not the same goddamn phone. Like every year, the battery sucks. Every year. And it is intentional that your battery sucks on your phone. Intentional. So they can force you to buy a new phone every year. I'm not gonna, again, there is no good argument. We need China's cheap labor. If you can't produce it here at a reasonable price, then you know what? Don't produce it at all. Don't produce it at all. There's also a thing where, oh my God, Americans don't want to do manufacturing jobs. Americans don't want to. Who wants to do a fast food job? Who wants to do that? We have millions of people doing fast food jobs. Who wants to do a job in a mall? We have millions of Americans doing that. And also, this is the thing that's funny. A little while ago, before the whole tariff shit, we were complaining about, what about the immigrants? What job are they going to do? How are they going to cut you off? Okay, you care about immigrants doing cheap labor here, but you don't have our immigrants doing manufacturing jobs? It's like, make it make sense. You want to keep immigrants here so they can still do cheap labors, but you say that there's no Americans would do manufacturing jobs here. It's like, you say, Americans only want to do high earning skilled jobs. Really? We have a lot of people who have no education. Our education system is in the toilet. It's in the toilet. The Chinese have a better education system than us. It's like every single argument people have made, there is nothing good about it. I've yet to hear a good argument. I just told you, no one wants to do a manufacturing job. Do people want to do fast food jobs here? They do it here. America's going to suffer because we need China's cheap good. Do we? Do we need China's cheap goods? How about, you know, let Americans suffer so they can't buy cheap goods? I'm not gonna cry about that. We have a problem where we overconsume. Nobody knows how to budget. Nobody knows how to save. Nobody knows how to invest. All we know how to do is buy. I think that is why, personal opinion, why Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. We know how to take vacations every couple months. We know how to buy, you know, home decor. We know how to buy a whole bunch of H&M clothes, Primark clothes, useless things that we will never use again. We know how to buy a whole bunch of shit from Amazon. Yet we don't know how to save and budget.